Coming up on Unpacked.
I had just come back from work. I saw a man crouched behind my vehicle. I screamed and he starts smashing my window in. And the first thing he said, "Open up." I pushed him away. He pushed me back. He slapped me. I'm at number 8. There's an intruder in the garage. Please, please, please come and help me.
A home invasion in a country like ours seems absolutely normal, but today's guest is here to share her personal story. Let's unpack. On the 19th of September 2019, communications specialist Nomthi Mnisi arrived home after a long day at work. Living in a secure complex, she did not anticipate that a stranger would interrupt her usual after-work routine and the events that would soon follow. This is part 1 of her story. Let's unpack. Nomthi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So take me back to, that fateful day, but maybe give us context as to the type of area you live in and what the home setup is like.
The date is classic, 19th September 2019 at 1900 hours. I had just come back from work. It was a typical beautiful day. We were just having our spring day that day. And I was really just relaxed, wearing a white peplum top, stretchy pants, and the shoes I'm actually wearing right now. And as I was driving into my neighborhood, it was a typical, almost spring transitioning into summer kind of day. So the sun had just set. As I was driving in, nothing was abnormal. Everything was normal.
And what kind of area do you live in? Is it the suburbs? Is it a township? Just so we can paint the picture.
Suburbs.
Yes.
So the road itself is not boomed, but it's well lit. It is a safe-ish kind of suburb. When you drive into my complex, it's gated community, so it's pretty much safe, but there isn't a security guard that is stationed there.
Yes.
So as I was driving in, it's quite dim. It's the backdrop of the sunset is hitting the trees. Everything is just sweet and perfect. And I'm very vigilant. So I always drive around looking around. I see nothing strange. It's an ordinary Thursday. And then I pull my car in. As I'm about to pull up into the driveway, I turn the garage moto. The garage door opens. I pull in slowly. I'm about to close the gate, the garage itself, and I hear a bang. And I didn't understand where the bang really came from. So I check my rearview mirror and my side mirrors. I see nothing. And then something catches my eye on the peripheral. So let me maybe paint the picture of my garage. A few years ago, I had turned the garage into a studio because I was thinking, I'm going to start some drama classes and teach. So on the far end of the double garage, I then had put mirrors all across the wall. And on that day, that's what caught my eye. The reflection from the mirror caught my eye. And when I looked at that mirror, I saw a man crouched behind my vehicle. And literally, the back of my hairs stood up. I will never forget that feeling. I felt a cold wash over my hands and my neck. And then the saga began.
Everybody listening to this will already be thinking to themselves, I would have, but you never really know until you're in a situation what you will do, because so many emotions pour into your body. What were the emotions that poured into your body when you realized what was actually happening?
To be honest, the first emotion is shock.
Yeah.
And denial. It's not happening.
Yeah.
My reflexes literally kicked in. I locked myself in my car and I really kept replaying, is this happening? Maybe I'm just seeing something. Maybe it was a dog. It's not a person. Who'd have the audacity? And also, there's no one at home. So how do you convince yourself what the next steps are? How do you move out of your own way to try and survive and have that conversation with yourself? Because no one prepares you for that day.
Who were you living with at the time, and what was the home setup?
My mother, just the two of us.
Yes.
I had also just gotten back from my stint in Mozambique as an expat. So just trying to get my life in order. And COVID-19 is lurking around. So I'm trying to just be in a safe environment with someone I really care about. And that day she had gone to attend evening classes. So it was just me. And it was business as usual, if that makes sense, in a home environment. And then I realized that something is wrong. You know, building up to a day, I don't know if you experience this. Sometimes you get a knot or something in the pit of your stomach that gives you a sense that something is going to happen today.
Yes.
And sometimes you have it if someone's going to pass away or you're going to receive a phone call. I had that, but I couldn't pinpoint.
Yeah.
And earlier that day, funny enough, a friend of mine actually said, there's a pit and this knot in my stomach and I just don't know why. And here I am comforting him instead, saying, no, man, pray it off. You're going to be okay. You know, don't even think about that. Little did I know it was for me.
So this person now is, you can see the reflection in the mirror. They're squatting behind your car, obviously trying to hide from you and waiting for an opportunity. What were you able to observe in that moment? I mean, and was time actually going in slow motion or was it all happening very fast?
Everything was happening very fast.
Yeah.
It's so weird that I'm getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
I think I just have to appreciate that you've created a safe space for me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So I wasn't expecting this man. Firstly, I couldn't tell whether or not he was big or small. I couldn't tell what he was wearing because the only light that was in the garage was essentially the garage motor.
Yeah.
Very dim. And a little pocket of lighting coming in from a small window right at the top of the garage. As soon as I locked myself in the car, he stood up. And the first thing he said, open up. He banged on the window. He was wearing gloves. And he said, open up.
What language was he speaking in?
English. Very deep voice. He was bellowing. So you can hear that he had authority.
Yeah.
It was a familiar command.
Yeah. He was comfortable.
It's as if he did this more than once.
Yeah.
And he said, open up. Sister, open up. I want to let my friends in. And I said, no. I think as he stood there, I screamed like a child. I am a grown woman. I screamed like a child because for some odd reason, I retorted back to a safe place that as a child, you're not taught how to respond when you're being confronted with something you're not familiar with. And then when that happened, then I realized, okay, Nomthi, it's survival mode. Figure out how this is going to follow through, or else it's going to be between you and one guy or you and three men.
And how did you know at the time how many there were outside?
When he said, open up, I want to let my friends in.
How did you know it was two friends? Yes.
So at that point, I didn't know. It was two friends. So as I'm journeying into the story, he actually exposes his friends' names.
Oh, wow. So let's come back to that then. He's saying to you, open up at your window. You've locked and your immediate response is no.
No. And I said, no. And then he says, I said, open up. And I said, no. And I felt my voice quiver and I felt a little bit meek. But I knew that at some point I needed to just stand my ground. And I just said, Lord, take this wheel. Then he started started bashing the window in with his hand, with his left hand, wasn't giving in.
So he was trying to break it?
100%.
Your window in particular? Wow.
I don't know what happened. My hand was shaking. I grabbed my phone. The other hand was on the hooter. As he was trying to break the window, I literally pulled my hand down, pulled my chair lever back. Don't know how and when and what gave me these ideas. But I literally pivoted my lower body, put both my feet up against the window. So that as he's kicking the window in, there's a counter.
Yes.
And it doesn't break.
Yeah.
I just needed to buy time to call someone for help. That's all I was thinking, is I just want to buy time. And so he kept kicking, I kept hooting. I looked through my phone. I'm like, who do I call? Our complex is very small. So the neighbors I have is those kind of neighbors where you wave and you move. When they need help, you pick up, the delivery post here, you open for someone at the gate, but that's it. Nobody really knows what goes on in each other's homes. And so then I called the first neighbor and I said, it's Nomthi. I'm at number 8. Please help me. There's an intruder in the garage. I really need your help. Now, bear in mind, I'm calling a person who is a father. He's got very young kids. He's there to protect his own home. He just kept quiet.
So he actually answered. This wasn't a voicemail. You're speaking to him and he didn't really respond.
He didn't respond. So in my own head, I'm like, can you hear me? Please help me. Say something.
Yes.
He hung up. And that's when I was like, okay, is it a me thing? Maybe I wasn't too clear. Maybe it's the noise of the hooter and the guy kicking. Maybe I wasn't clear. So I try again. I phone the other neighbor and I said, it's Nomthi. I'm at number 8. There's an intruder in the garage. Please, please, please come and help me. Silence. But he stayed on the line. And I kept saying, I'm calling the cops. I'm calling the cops. At this point, he is now kicking the door in. I can feel the car essentially keep moving and budging. And next thing, he keeps going back to the garage to try and open. I hear voices. And I'm like, okay, it's just not working. My first instinct wasn't to call the cops because earlier on that year, I had another traumatic experience that really left me disappointed in our system, our police system. So, and I said, okay, final shot, Nomthi. Hang up, call the cops. It rang.
They didn't pick up. Wow.
It rang. And it rang. I hung up. I tried again.
And while you were busy calling, there's kicking, there's voices, that's continuing.
Everything.
Yeah.
You find yourself really depleted because you don't know what else do I do besides getting out of the car.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't have pepper spray. I didn't have, a knife. Whatever people keep in their cars for safety, that was not something I ever thought would actually have to be something that I considered.
Yeah. And you couldn't at the time, obviously, see whether he had a weapon or not. So also, it's not like you're trying to remove the barrier of safety that you have at that time.
Nothing. And then the light switched off.
Oh, because it's on that timer.
The light switched off. I felt him get on top of the bonnet of the car. I had a sunroof at that point. I just saw a big footprint. And I was like, is he coming through the sunroof? I don't know. Nomthi, try again for the last time. I called the police, yet again.
No answer.
Rang for a long time. Eventually they answered. Very casual. Sisi, I need your help. There's a person here. He's in my garage. He's about to hurt me. I need cops to come and help me. Where do you stay? What is your address? How can we reach you? As a normal person, when like a situation is escalating, you don't have time to be spelling out the name of your complex. So here I was, I am trying to say, this is the address, this is my number. Are they coming? How long will they take to get here? She hangs up. And I knew I was just not gonna try again. He gets down, goes back to the garage, yanks it open. It doesn't open. Gets back on the bonnet, fiddles around with the motor. I then hear a rip. He comes back down. I look, all I could see was almost like a black brick. That's when I knew he had ripped off that backup battery of the garage motor that sits right on top of it. And he starts smashing my window in.
Yeah.
Because I have shatterproof, obviously, or you just see it shattering. I then tried to move towards the passenger side. By that point, he's peeling off the glass. As I was about to reach over, I just felt these strong hands grab my shoulders and my neck and literally pull me out of the window. I could feel some of the glass literally scraping behind my back. I'm grateful I was wearing these shoes because then I could literally try and push back. He then turned around. He took his forearm, put it up against my neck, tilted my chin, and he said, Sisi. I said, open up. And I said, hi, not today. I literally felt goosebumps just overcome me. And then he was shaking me around and he said, I'm not going to tell you again. I said, open up so I can let my friends in. And I said, no. I pushed him away. He pushed me back. He slapped me. I tried to put in a punch. We wrestled. All I could just smell was smoke, was sweat. It just smelled like dirt and grime for some odd reason. He was wearing gloves. Some of the glove fell off. As we were wrestling, I managed to pull off his balaclava.
So his face was covered at the time?
His face was covered at the time. And this went on for a while. I think my body went into shock because I couldn't feel any of the physical punches and kicks. I couldn't feel anything. And by the time I sort of caught myself, I was then in a headlock. I couldn't move. I didn't have space.
And this is not outside of the car in the garage because he's taken you out.
Because it's a double garage and my mother parks on the other side. So we had that space. And I remember when I was in the headlock, I kept pushing my chin back because his forearm was now somewhere here. And as I'm pushing back, his hand keeps moving. Eventually, I got a pocket. And I knew the only thing I could do is try and just bite this part of his hand. I bit. I locked my jaw. I literally felt it click in place. And
especially because we know this part is very sensitive. The nerves here. Yeah.
I hung on. And then eventually I heard him scream. And then he released his hand. And at that point, I literally just felt this warmth going down my face. I could taste metal. Initially, I thought it was just my saliva.
Yes.
And I realized, it's like, no, it's his blood. He let go. He pushed me back. I fell on the floor. I had to pick myself up very quickly. And because it's my garage, I knew the lay of the land.
Yeah.
I then walked around the car and I went to go switch on the light.
So while you are making your way around, is he still basically trying to tend to
100%.
his hurt
Trying
hand?
to tend to his hurt hand, and the voices that keep banging on the garage to say, open up. Then that's when I heard the two names that, his partners had. I switched on the light. We locked eyes.
I'm surprised that at this point, and I understand why you needed the light on, because you need to be as alert and to see what's going on. I'm surprised your instinct wasn't to physically run into the house and try and create a barricade.
You don't think. It's as if months after that, I kept playing the what ifs in my head.
Yes.
And I had everything in the garage. I play golf, there's golf clubs. I've got gym equipment, I've got weights, I've got anything.
Yes.
But your mind just doesn't go there.
Yes.
It's that fight, flight, or freeze, and mine was just a fight.
Yeah.
However that looked like, it was just what I had at that moment. We locked eyes. He came charging towards me. I then went back to where he had left me and dropped me, essentially. When I looked in the mirror, I caught a glance of my top and it was just red.
Yeah.
And then I said, Nomthi, wait. When someone's at the gate, they need the code for them to enter. So you need to grab your phone. And I was like, but if I grab my phone, he's definitely going to come after me.
Yeah. And where was your phone at this time?
In the car.
Yeah.
In the passenger seat. I said, I'll take a shot. And the doors closed, obviously, because he pulled me out through the window. He turned his back, continues fiddling around. I literally ran for the door, opened it, grabbed my phone, grabbed the other phone, because I was also almost transitioning my data into the other phone.
Yeah.
Because earlier on in the year, as I said, cops were harassing me.
Yeah.
And I then held the old phone, which is bright pink. So he saw that and he knocked it out my hands and he took it. Then I had the new phone. And with these new phones, you can set up the default settings. And when you double click the power button, it goes to the last setting you essentially had that day. That day, when I drive around, I used to do these almost like car motivational talks to myself.
Yes.
And then the last default mode was video mode.
Yeah.
As soon as I default mode, it started recording him. And then he speaks to his friends. His friends then say, wait, before I even do that, one of my triggers nowadays is a specific shoe brand now.
Yeah. Because of what he was wearing.
And I'll never forget it because it kept squeaking as he was going back and forth. And that's all I could just keep my eyes on. And then he's wearing denim jeans, a black hoodie, and then he looks at me. I'd say plus minus, maybe he's about 36. He looked about 36. Very tall, very broad shoulders, stocky kind of man.
Yeah.
Then he said, Cash, KG. And he said, hi, Baba. If you can't open the garage, then let's go through the front door. Went into the house.
He leaves you in the garage.
Leaves me in the garage. He goes into the house. It's pitch black in the house. So my thing is, he would not know how to navigate.
Yeah.
I stood there like this with my phone. Literally all I could hear was rummaging in the house, and I could hear my heart beating. I didn't cry. I didn't do anything. Give or take maybe about 4 minutes while he was in there, because that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I then heard the garage. I heard banging. And I heard Nomthi, open up. At that point, I was like, how did these guys know my name?
Yeah.
And I said, who is it? It was my neighbors. I tried to go look for the remote. My hands are shaking. I'm like, where did I drop it in the car? Eventually I open. So luckily, even though he ripped off the battery, there's a backup somewhere.
Yeah.
So as I opened, I'm like, are they there? And they said, who? I'm like, there's 2 other guys out here. They're like, there's no one here. Because they came through with their vehicle. My neighbors are so awesome. They drove their vehicle. They lived 200 meters away.
Yeah.
So they said, we drove the vehicle here so that if you were not going to open, we were going to bash it in.
Wow. Wow.
And they said, where is he? I said, I don't know. He's in the house. 3 guys went in. 1 barefoot, bare hands. They went in. I closed the garage door behind them. I screamed. And I cried. Because that was the moment I knew I was going to be okay.
Next time on Unpacked.
And he's screaming, saying, leave me, leave me. Detective sitting here, he's asking me questions. I was at the right place, the wrong time.
And what were your injuries?
It was the most traumatic 24 hours of my life. If I didn't have the recording, he would have gotten away scot-free.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.